Since the 300ZX Targa top, anybody that's liked to go topless had had a little spot in their heart for Nissan. On this edition of Test Drive, the 370Z Roadster. The 370 Roadster is a stunning looking car by any measure. It's also one of the few drop tops that looks just as good whether the rag top is up or down. The good news is that, as with all good sports cars, the Z has the motivational wherewithal to back up its stylish flair. Nissan's tried and true 3.7-litre V6 engine. Using Nissan's cam phasing with variable lift, it puts forth an effortless 332 horsepower and 270 pound-feet of torque. The fact the stallions begin to run early and stay at full gallop right to redline makes the Z one quick puppy, and this in spite of its 1,582 kilogram curb weight. It takes all of 5.5 seconds to eclipse 100 kilometers an hour, and it blasts past a loafer in the 80 to 120 passing move in less than 5 seconds. The cabin of this 370 has been done very nicely indeed. To begin with, very nice materials, and the blend of leather, suede and these aluminum-like inserts really add a touch of class. Then you get to these seats. Now these things are not only superbly comfortable, they're also heated and cooled. And unlike most, the heating and cooling actually runs up into the shoulder area, which is great for a fall night cruise. There are, however, a couple of pet peeves. This light under here, which you cannot see, tells you if the AC is actually on or off. It needs to be somewhere else where you can actually see it. And as for these things, paddle shifters belong on the steering wheel, not on the column. The 7-speed manumatic transmission is likewise a dandy. Drive the Z sedately and the box works its way up through the gears in short order, which maximises fuel economy. The test average of 9.8 litres per 100 kilometres was a very pleasant surprise. On the flip side, a full stab at the gas sees the transmission drop a couple of cogs as the engine stretches for redline. Some clever thinking went on at the back end of this 370. Now, because the top folds down into its own compartment, the trunk space doesn't change regardless of whether the top is up or down. Now, 4.2 cubic feet doesn't sound like a whole pile of space, but because it's nicely squared off, it is functional. In fact, this thing will accommodate a golf bag. Not a PGA Tour bag, but a golf bag. Pulling back on the downshift paddle sees the engine rev match as the box drops a cog or two and delivers the engine braking the driver's seeking. The downside is the sport mode. It always drops the box into 5th gear, which is invariably the wrong gear. Why not let the driver take care of the gears? The smartest computer in the world is not as proficient as the person holding the steering wheel. As with most convertibles, the sight lines on this 370Z are not all they could be. This large piece of canvas here introduces a blind spot, and the rear window, well, it's like looking through a letterbox. All of that's compounded because there is no backup camera. This car could do with one. Then you get to this thing. Now, it is ugly. The rest of the car is very stylish. It can be likened to finding a wart on the nose of a supermodel. It just doesn't belong. As for the handling, the 370 is as sharp as a good knife. It starts with the right sort of balance. Not only is the mass split almost evenly front to rear, the suspension manages to walk a fine line. It banishes body roll, yet it does not beat the riders up when the pavement takes a turn for the worst. More impressive is the fact that the body stiffness all but eliminates cowl shake. I only encountered the slightest hint when running over railway tracks at a fair clip. The steering is just as poised, nice and light at low speeds and firm to the feel at speed. Throw in a good electronic nanny, strong anti-lock brakes, and the Z is dynamically delightful. There are many good reasons to buy this 370Z. It's got power, panache, a well-conceived top. The list goes on and on. None, however, as compelling as the price. This thing starts at about $47,000, and if you throw in the nav, it tops out at less than $54,000. There are a lot of lesser cars on the road that cost so much more money.